I'm a wildlife artist. It's my job each day to go outdoors to find the birds and beasts where they live and grow. I've seen and heard the wildcat that prowls the granite ledge, and I know where bears have clawed up all the trees on Big Beech Ridge. I've tracked deer in every season and met the mighty moose, found gators in the Everglades and snakes in the bayous, from snowy northern forests to steamy southern swamps, across the endless prairie to the desert and beyond. It's my purpose on this earth to travel all around to the many different places where wildlife can be found. And everything I see and learn, things I watch wildlife do, I squeeze into a picture book and share it all with you. Have you ever wondered about alligators? Where they live? What they eat? How big do they grow? Are alligators dangerous to people? This video answers all these questions and more. It's all about alligators. Hi, I'm Jim Arnosky. I'm an author of nature books. I'm also a wildlife artist, and I illustrate all of my books with pictures drawn from my own wildlife studies and outdoor adventures. Many of you know me from my books, and I feel like I know you, because I think about you all the while I'm working on a book. I try to imagine all the questions that you would ask me about the wildlife subjects I've chosen to write about. And then I work very hard to answer all those questions in the pages of my book. For my book, All About Alligators, I had to travel south to the warm places alligators inhabit and stay long enough to learn the way alligators live. Alligators are found in only 2 places in the whole world, in China and right here in the southeastern part of the United States. You can see on the map here, here's the southeastern part of the United States. Maybe a lot of you live in the states where these alligators live. Alligators are semi-aquatic animals. They spend nearly half their time in water. Like turtles, snakes, and lizards, alligators are reptiles. All reptiles are cold-blooded, meaning they control their body temperatures not from within as we do, but by moving to a warmer or cooler place. Young alligators have yellow markings. This one's just a baby. Baby alligators hatch from eggs their mother lays and hides in a nest she makes of mounded mud and vegetation. A baby alligator is 10 inches long. As an alligator grows, the yellow markings fade, and eventually the alligator is mostly grayish-green or black in color. American alligators grow about 1 foot in length each year for their first 5 years. After that, they grow more slowly. An alligator can live 50 or 60 years and grow to be 20 feet long. Alligators inhabit rivers, creeks, lakes, marshes, swamps, and bayous. In the places where alligators live, you can also see lots of other wildlife. My favorites are the water birds. This black-necked stilt is wading in very shallow water searching for insects and tiny snails to eat. Here's a glossy ibis. And look, a gallinule. See the way the gallinule's wide toes enable it to walk right on top of floating vegetation? On Georgia's Jekyll Island, a place where alligators live in sandy shoreline marshes, I happened on a snowy egret preening its lovely white plumage. Do you know this alligator, neighbor? You're right, it's definitely not a water bird. It's a manatee surfacing to breathe. Manatees are mammals that spend all their time in water. My wife Deanna and I saw this gentle giant in Florida's Homosassa River. Also home to many not-so-gentle alligators. You know, just thinking about all those beautiful watery places that we visited when we were studying alligators made me feel like taking the day off and coming over here to the lake. This isn't alligator country, but sometimes I like to pretend it is. In fact, I like to pretend there's a big old alligator lurking in those cattails right over there. Imagine an alligator hiding here. But in reality, the places where alligators live can be very dangerous places, especially near or in the water. I was safe up on a high boardwalk when I spotted this coiled cottonmouth, a poisonous snake, very scary. Cottonmouth moccasins are exceptionally dangerous because they're numerous and they blend so well with their environs. But the most dangerous animal in alligator country are the alligators themselves. They look like logs in the water until they move. Alligators can stay perfectly still, then burst into action. Wow! Let's look at that again, but this time in slow motion. See how much of an alligator can be hidden underwater? Look at the width of those jaws. Alligators will eat frogs, snakes, turtles, birds. Baby alligators will catch and eat insects like dragonflies or water beetles, anything they can catch when they're small. And the larger an alligator grows, the bigger the animals that it will catch and eat. Larger alligators will eat raccoons and otters, and in fact, a big alligator will try to catch and eat even you or me. That's why when I'm around alligator places, where alligators I know are lurking and where I know they live, I'm very careful, and I like to see around me at least 25 feet so that I can be sure I'm not going to step any place where an alligator might come rushing out at me. The safest way to view a particularly dangerous animal like an alligator is by the use of optical equipment. And when you're a wildlife watcher, you get to learn to use a lot of optical tools. The best and easiest to use is a pair of binoculars, because you can bring them with you any place you go. And I carry a pair of binoculars with me in the car or on the boat every place I go. Or if you want to take pictures of the animals, a camera with a good telephoto lens. This is my telephoto lens. I call her Old Betsy, and I've taken this camera to many different places to videotape animals. When I'm videotaping any wild animal, I like to be a good distance away from it, for my own safety and to allow the animal its space. Whoa! That's really close with that telephoto lens. When I study animals, I have to look at them that close with my telephoto lens or binoculars and look at the features so that I can later draw and paint those animals accurately. The telephoto lens zooms in to view all the close-up details that, as a wildlife artist, I need to see and study. That's how I learned to draw animals, by studying them in detail. And after I've looked at an animal through my telephoto lens or with my binoculars and seen all the parts of the animal up close and all its features, I could actually draw that animal anytime I want to, in any pose I want it to be in. I'll draw an alligator for you right now. One of the biggest alligators we saw in Louisiana. That was a 10-foot alligator. All right. First thing we want to do is get some water down here for our alligator. And alligators like to float just below the surface so their eyes can pop up and look. While the rest of their body is hidden under the water. And of course they have to breathe, so that's why alligators' noses are a little bit bulgy, so they can stick their nostrils up and breathe. Now here's the fun part of drawing an alligator. These big jaws. This is the part that's under the water, of course. So I'll draw that a little lighter. Alligators' teeth don't show quite as much as a crocodile's teeth. And in fact, the difference between an alligator and a crocodile is partially that, and also the fact that a crocodile has a much more pointed snout like this, with the eyes like here, and an alligator has a much rounder nose like this. Here. And like I say, most of the alligator is under the water, so that you can't really tell how big they are until you see them out of the water. Here he is swimming. I'm going to have him swimming around in a circle here. And put the tail right there coming up out of the water. So this alligator's turning. Like that. And then I'll have his back coming up here. And those, of course, that has the bumps along the back the same way that the tail does. What's that thing floating in the lake? Some kind of monster, like a great big snake? Or maybe it's nothing, just a rubber tire tread. No, wait, it moved. It's an alligator head. I don't know. I could be wrong, 'cause now it looks like a sunken log. That's all it is. That's bark, not scales. Hold on, it splashed. It's an alligator tail. That's an alligator, no mistake. A 10-foot alligator is swimming in the lake. I knew it all along, I knew it right away. I knew today was going to be an alligator day. all along, I knew it right away. I knew today was gonna be an alligator day. That was fun. It's always fun to draw. Now I think I'll take a ride in my canoe. That's why I came to the lake in the first place. Like I said, this is Vermont. It is an alligator country. I don't have to worry about any alligators around here. In fact, the only thing that might bite me here would be the big old snapping turtle that lives in the cove. And even then, I'd have to step right on it. When I researched my book all about alligators, we drove south many times into the alligators' domain. And on each visit, I learned more about these fascinating creatures. I learned that an alligator propels itself in water by swaying its long, powerful tail from side to side. I learned that an alligator floats when it wants to, and when it wants to sink, it can sink like a rock. Though it closes its eyes to submerge, an alligator swims underwater with its eyes wide open. Each eye is protected by a special transparent eyelid. Every so often an alligator will peek up just its eyes to have a look around. This is the way an alligator stalks its prey, by moving very slowly, silently, just under the water surface, out of sight. You thought that was going to be an alligator, didn't you? That was just me playing a trick on you. That was me too, taking the pictures underwater so we could see what an alligator might see when it's swimming just under the surface. Brrr. I just learned something else about alligators. Why they don't live up here in the north. The water's too cold. A reptile as large as an alligator needs a warm climate in order to help keep its large body warm. A lot of you write and ask me, what's the best thing about being an author? Well, for me, the best thing about being an author is when I go out and study wildlife, in this case alligators, I can come home and squeeze it all into a picture book and share it with you. And you can be sure that everything you read in one of my books is based on something I really saw. Perhaps the most important thing I learned about alligators is how important alligators are to their watery environment. When an alligator dredges up the muck and vegetation in order to build its mound-shaped nest, it creates holes in the wetland, and those holes fill with water. And those filled water holes attract all kinds of wildlife. And during the driest times of the year, those alligator holes may be the only place that the wildlife can find water. You can be sure of one thing. Wherever there are alligators, there's a rich variety of wildlife. Well, that was our first video visit, and I hope you enjoyed it because I certainly did. And until I see you next time, see you later, alligator.